What up, YouTube world? Foster Home Feds and Fighting, back at it with your boy Hugo out of Modesto, California, Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. Um, let's continue the story about how the feds finally got me, right? But before I say that, I just want to say that one of my teammates in my academy was watching the video, and he asked me, "Hey, how old were you around this time this was happening?" I told him I was 35. This happened when I was 35 years old. First job I ever had was when I was 36. So I lived my whole life hustling. And I'm not saying in a good way. I'm saying this story because it's all gonna turn around how I got myself into jiu-jitsu and how I turned my my hustle skills into something else, and I went 100% in it. So that's why I'm telling the story about this. Um, and just to give you some insight, some quick insight, right? So imagine when you were 18. So anyone watching this video, imagine when you were 18 years old. What were you doing at 18 years old? Was you still staying with moms and dads, grandparents? Because see, I didn't have none of that. And I'm not saying this is justifying why I ended up going towards the bad and started doing crime and stuff. I'm not even saying that at all. What I'm saying is I didn't have no guidance. I have a brother, right? My older brother is 1 year older. He ended up going to prison for 10 years at the age of I think he was 19 and I was 18. And I ain't seen him for 10 years. So for them 10 years, I had to survive on my own. I had to do everything on my own. When I fell down, I just took it on the chin and got back up and kept pushing. So with that being said, imagine when you're 18 and not having nothing. How were you gonna survive? I didn't have a place to go stay at. I was homeless at times. That's my cat, my daughter going at it. Um, but I didn't have. So I've been homeless at that young age where I didn't have nowhere to go. That's when I had to start telling myself, man, you got to do something else. And that's when I ended up going to the life of crime. But it is what it is, and that had happened. So, and this case, the reason why I'm talking about this case, back up, man. The reason why I'm talking about this case is because this is what led me to becoming into jiu-jitsu. So it all fits in the same picture together. Okay, well now with that being said, let's go ahead and get back to the story. So like I said in the last video, I got arrested. They put me in the, I'm from Modesto, so they put me in the Stanislaus County Jail down here. For sales and weapons charge, right? Well, 8 hours later, I was out on bail. One of my dudes came through, took me out. So 8 hours later, after the incident happened, I was back out on bail. And I was gonna now I started. What's crazy is like I was out of jail, right, and I'm shell shocked from what had just happened 8 hours prior, and then I started thinking like man, what am I gonna do? So luckily, when I went into my house after they raided it, I had some bag on the kitchen table. When I opened up, there was some stuff that the cops didn't get. So what's crazy about this whole thing is that even though I just got caught, my mind was still in the sense of like back to hustling. So even going to jail didn't stop me from trying to survive, because that's the only thing I knew how to do. So like I said, I got arrested. I got back out on bail. Me and my girl at the time, we got back out. We're out on bail now. We're fighting these cases, right? So first thing I do is I go snatch me up a lawyer, because I had a lawyer help me out with the prior case before, and he got me a really good deal, right? So I was like, I hired the same lawyer. That's Mac Drizzle. So I hired the same lawyer, right? Well, I hired him. We started going to some court. Excuse me. We started going to some courts, right? The first court, they postponed it to another court date, then another court date, and now this is about 3 to 4 court dates in, right? 3 to 4 court dates in, like they just keep postponing it, so nothing's really happening. Well, I remember specifically one morning I got up and it was March 24th, 2016. The reason why I know this date is because on March 28th is my son's birthday. So I was gearing up to start buying stuff to celebrate his birthday, right? So on this day I had a court. What was crazy is that I woke up in the morning. I was smoking dab. Um, I took a hit of some weed, right? And I was like, I'm gonna go to court. It's probably gonna get postponed, and it's probably gonna take a long. Well, I had a lawyer now, so I kind of got called. You know, what I'm saying sooner than later. So I went to, like I said, I hit a dab pen, a dab rig, or what do you want to call it. I ended up going to court. I'm high. I see my lawyer there. I went with my girl. Well, like I said, they normally don't call me right away, so I was just sitting down there. And next thing I know, I heard them say, Hugo Martinez, the state of California, whoop whoop, whatever they say, right? So I was like, oh snaps, for me. So I go up there in the front with my lawyer right there. Now I'm hearing the lawyers, and I'm hearing the judge say some stuff, but I'm not really paying attention. And all I heard was some California's dropping the case. That's all I heard, but they said something else after that as well. They said something like they said some other stuff that I didn't really pay attention to, because all I heard was my case is being dismissed. Now let me tell you something a real quick understanding about jail. Now if you get caught for a felony in I don't know, right here in California, right, or at least in Stanislaus right here, if they don't pick up your charges, if the DA don't pick up your charges in 72 hours, that's 3 days, they release you. They necessarily don't drop the charges, but they have a year to pick them back up, but they'll release you then. So I never got that lucky. Every time I went to jail, it would be like 2 days and a half, and I'm thinking like, oh my God, please let them not call my name. And I get afternoon court, they call my name. So I never got that lucky. So this time when they had said Martinez, some were dropping the case, and then they said something else, I'm thinking like, that's all I heard. I was like, oh snaps. But when I looked at my lawyer to the left, he throws his hands up like, oh my God, fuck. And then I looked at him and I'm thinking like, why y'all panties in a bunch, dude? In my mind, I'm thinking like, why you panties in a bunch? I just heard him say they dropped my case. But I didn't hear the other stuff, right? When my lawyer's over here like, oh my God, well, I can't believe this. And I'm looking at him like, what? Like, why you tripping, right? At that very moment, some guy behind me, mind you, I'm finding my case from the street, so I'm in my normal clothes. So I'm not sitting where that you take out inmates. I'm in the back. I'm in from the streets, like the bleachers, or not bleachers, but the little where they have the seating at, right? But what do you know about some guy goes behind me, taps me, and I turn around. I looked at him. He goes, "Turn around. You're being federally indicted." And I was like, "That's now." Then I looked at my lawyer, like, what the is going on? What the is going on, right? My lawyer looked at me and I turned around, and then my lawyer's like, the federal government picked up your case. And I was like, see how I paused for a minute? Because I was paused for a minute in the court. What do you mean the feds picked up my case? He goes, that's when he threw his hands up again, like, fuck, the feds are getting you. I go, but what do you mean they're getting me? And then he goes, you're being arrested by the feds, by the FBI. I go, what? And then the guy's like tapping me, telling me to turn around. So I turn around, he's like, put your hands behind your back. And I was looking at my lawyer like, you dude, you're my lawyer. I'm out on bail. This can't be happening. He's like, man, the federal government picked up your case. So I was like, oh my God. They started arresting me right there. Mind you, I'm with my girl. She starts flipping out, crying refusely. It was sad, dude, just to see her tears come down her eyes. I don't like that. Like, me personally, I don't like to see my girl cry. Like, if a girl's with me and she, either whether it's me making her hurt or someone else making her hurt, I just don't want to see my loved one tear down her eye. That breaks my heart. But anyways, I looked at her. What's crazy is I had a friend that her guy was in jail too, and she was there. She know me growing up with me, so she kind of comforted her while they took me to the back to rearrest me. So I was like, man, what the fuck is, like, what the hell's going on, right? And then the fed dude, they ain't really saying nothing. He's just being federally indicted. And I was thinking like, what, like, I have so much shit going through my head. Like, what do you mean though? Like, what? How did this happen? I'm out on bail. What? And then he's like, the federal government picked up your case. The state dropped it, so now we have a chance to pick it up. We picked it up, and you're being arrested. I looked at my lawyer and I go, what's going on? And he's all, I'll talk to you right now. So he went back to where I was at, and then he's like, yeah, man, now the feds picked up your case. I go, I know, but man, what do you mean when they say that? You're my lawyer. What's going on? He's like, well, that just means you're going to have to pay me a lot more money. And I was thinking like, damn, man, I think I'm broke paying you. I don't think I have enough money to even pay you this time. But I was like, what? He's like, yeah. And I looked at the Fed guy, right? And then I go, well, what's gonna go on? He's like, well, you're gonna stay here tonight. Tomorrow early in the morning, like around 6 o'clock, we're gonna come pick you up and take you to court in Fresno for the feds. And I was like, oh, now mind you, I'm in shock. I'm like, when I thought I was high, I'm not high anymore. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like a bad nightmare, right? Like, no, this ain't happening. It was happening. They put on the silver bracelets that lock together, and next thing you know, they're putting me down to they're taking me upstairs to jail. They put me in the jail cell. That night I couldn't sleep. So much shit was going through my mind. What's going on? What my girl's thinking, what she's going through, the shit that I'm going through. I couldn't believe all this. So I'm thinking I couldn't sleep the whole night, right? They served breakfast around 4:30 in the morning, something like that. When they came to bring breakfast, I was already up, but I'm stressing, tripping like. So the feds ended up coming around 6, right? They ended up coming around 6. It was 2 of them this time, right? All they did is say my name. They put me in their car, and I didn't really try to talk to them, but they weren't saying nothing. They weren't saying no conversation was being talked or nothing. I was thinking like, man, like how does this work, right? They drove me all the way to Fresno. When they drove me all the way to Fresno, they booked me in the Fresno jail. Now, what's crazy about when you get booked by the feds, if someone looks up your name in Fresno and I'm in Fresno, since I'm from the feds, you can't look up my name. My name will not pop up in their jail cells in the system. Somehow, you have to tell the people who to look for under what for them to find out where your name's at. But they won't. You can't just look up yourself and find the name. It won't show that you're not in there, right? I know because my girl was trying to find me. They wouldn't let her. It wouldn't let her discover me, right? So I'm in jail and I'm over here stressing out, thinking like, oh my god, dude, like damn, right? Now I go to court. Like I said, I go to court because I went to jail, but I go to court that same day. I ended up going to court. Bam! When I went to court, they brought out a file like that thick, right? And I'm thinking in my mind like, dude, I didn't do all that kind of. Not that I didn't do that kind of crime. Let me explain something about jail, man. I didn't get caught for that many crimes. You know what I'm saying? I've been having an angel watch over me. But anyways, like I was saying, so I seen a big old thick stack of papers, and anyways, I go, what's that? And then like I had a public defender, but see the federal government public defenders, they're real high paid lawyers because it's top notch shit, right? So I had one of the best. Even when they found out who I had as a public defender, even everyone else was telling me like, man, you got one of the best ones. And she was an elderly lady. I was her last case. After me, she retired. She's badass, dude. So anyways, so she starts telling me like, hey, they got you for this, this, and this, and I was thinking like, dude, like what? And then she goes, yeah, we're gonna go in front of the judge right now. They're gonna read you off your case. You can plead guilty or not guilty. And I'm thinking like, man, you already know we're gonna plead not guilty. She goes, okay. Anyways, when the judge reads it off, so they dropped the drug sales. The drug sales, and what's crazy is because I think they would have had a better action with keeping that for the state because I already had a prior. But when the feds picked it up, and this kind of worked in my benefit, when the feds picked up my case, acclimates. When the feds picked up my case, now I'm over here like the feds said they're dropping the sales charges, the drug for sales charges, right? But they're keeping the gun enhancements charge. I mean, not enhancement, but they're keeping the gun charges on me. And I'm thinking like, dude. But then at the same time, what I got caught with, that ain't nothing to the feds. They're finding people with tons, metric tons, not no pounds or a half pound or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I wasn't a big timer. I was a hustler, so I always had money, and I've been surviving on my own for that many years doing wrong. You know what I mean? Since I was at the age of 18 to 35, I was living life, and I was living life. I'm not mad at the way it happened or whatever. It was a blessing in disguise. So when they dropped those, I was kind of thinking like, well, why are they keeping the guns? Well, that's what made it illegal. Cause see, at that time I was a felon. I was a felon in the possession of a weapon. That's why at that time the feds were picking up a lot of gun cases. So they picked that gun case up with me, right? So I'm looking at my public defender now, and her name was Ann. I was looking at her, and then I go, well, what's going on? She goes, you know, you got caught with drugs. You have a drug problem. I'm like, quick game. This is what people do. This is what we do in the dope game. When you get caught with drugs, you just say you're on them, so then they can try to get you some kind of rehab, right? Well, I tried to do that, but they weren't having it. They're like, no. They're like, no. But the thing that saved me with the stack of papers that I had, the feds go all the way back to like juvenile. They bring up your whole life. They want to know who you are individually. They want to know everything about you, right? So what's crazy is when I went and talked to my lawyer, Ann, she told me pre-trial is gonna come talk to you. Now, in the feds, there's a thing called pre-trial, and they're the ones that go through case by case to see if they're gonna give you a bail or not. And in the feds, you really can't get bailed out unless you own property like homes and stuff, right? So I'm over here like, okay, and I got. She goes, you got caught with drugs and dropped them. She goes, well, I need rehab. She goes, okay. She looked and then she goes, you know, you never got caught with like drugs in you. And I was like, well, she looked at my phone. She found out I have 4 DUIs. So to her, that was action. She's like, wait a minute. So she took us back to court. This is all happening in the same day. All this happens in the same day. I go right back to court, back in court, and then actually, I'm sorry. That I talked to them, and then I think it was 2 days later I got back to court. So I went back to court, but I was talking to my lawyer, and she goes, "Yeah, we're gonna try to get you to this thing called West Care. It's in Fresno, California. It is a rehab, a 90-day live-in rehab." I go, "Okay, anything better than jail." That's all I cared about was I didn't want to be in jail. I hate jail, right? That breaks my spirit. So I go, "Okay." So she comes back and she tries to fight like, hey, we want to put him in rehab. And then, you know, the DA is like, no, he doesn't need to be in rehab. He doesn't have a problem with the whoop whoop. But the judge read that I had 4 DUIs, and the judge goes, well, you have 4 DUIs? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you know what? He told the DA, like, hey, if anyone has a problem, that itself is a problem. You know, getting once, okay, maybe don't have a problem, but 4 times, that's a problem. So we are going to send him to the rehab. So I got blessed to go into the 90-day living rehab in West Care, Fresno. That was a blessing, right? But they didn't take me that day. I think I had a week till I got released to take me till they filed the papers or whatever they had to do, right? So I had to stay in the Fresno County Jail for a whole week. Oh my God, I hated it. I'm from Modesto. I'm from up here. I'm from the Central Valley. So over there is a lot different than what it is where we're at, right? So I was like, oh my God, man, damn. So I was staying in there. I waited. West Care came and picked me up finally, right? This time at this time, the girl I was dating, she was there for me though. She would drive 2 hours to come see me for half an hour behind glass. So I always have special love for that, man. That was cool shit. So she was, you know, putting money on the thing so I could see her. I mean, I could talk to her every day. She was going through it. I was going through it. Finally, they released me to West Care. Now, when they released me to West Care, now is when my fight started. Now, when the fight for my life really started. So they put me in the 90-day rehab. I do on my Snapchat and on my stories with my Instagram and all that, I always do positive affirmations when I was in the 90-day. This is how I get that. When I was in the 90-day rehab, every morning they made, and let's say there was over about 150 people in there, right? Some were coming straight from prison, and some were fighting Fed cases like me, and that's where they go. But anyways, every morning at 8 o'clock, like they wake up at 7:30, you got to be ready by 8 in this big old hall, right? In the main classroom, and everybody all in a row, we had to do morning affirmations. Every day I did that for 90 days, every day. So I just used some of that acknowledgement that I got from there, which helped clear the mind while I was in a stuck situation. So I use that out here now just to try to motivate and give people a better perspective of their life that day. That's why I do positive affirmations every morning on my Snap, on my stories, in case you guys ever wondering, like, man, why you go do that? That's why. So I always pick up game from some. If there's game to be picked up, I don't care where it's at, from who. I always pick up a little bit of game from everybody. Then I mix it with my game, and then we get a whole bunch of game. So anyway, so like I said, I was fighting the case in rehab, right? And I'm talking to my lawyer, and she told me, yeah, someone told on you. I got you the paperwork. Here's the paperwork, and it turned out to be that girl. It was that girl and the dude that I knew growing up. In all reality, that dude told her to tell you. That's the way this nigga is. He's a weasel. But I'm not even mad anymore, sis. I'm not talking down. I'm just keeping everything live, keeping everything real, right? So look, she told me she had the discovery. She goes, my lawyer came to the rehab and out the discovery, and she goes, hey, here's your discovery on what happened and what happened. So why did they come to your house? I don't know. I don't even know that. I don't know how they even came to my house. She goes, well, and she said the girl's name, which I'm not gonna say because you know what, God will take care of that. Anyway, so I said her name is. This is her story. This is what she said what happened, and this is why they were able to have the police surveillance me for a week, and this is why the FBI and everything got involved. Like I said, the gang unit's been trying to get me for over 10 years. I mean, they've been trying to get me for 10 years. So, what the girl had said was this. Mind you, remember I told you they caught me over there by Modesto High. They pulled up on me and they started trying to pick problems with me, right? Well, this is what she said. On the west side, right there, off Paradise is a Walgreens. Well, the girl said that I seen her, noticed her because I knew her dude, which was my homie at the time. That's how I knew her. I drove up to her in my truck and I pulled out a gun on her. Not one, but I put out 2 guns on her. This is what she said. She even named the kind of guns I pulled out on her. The cops like, well, how would you know what kind of guns they are? She said something like she went to boot camp because she was going to go in the army, but she just never followed through. So I'm thinking, like, that's kind of crazy. But mind you, the gun she said that I pulled out on her, those are the guns I got caught with. So I had a little bit of action with that because she wasn't knowing what she's talking about. But at the same time, it could be, it could just be her not really knowing a gun. So they're still using that against me. So I was kind of like, I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, yeah, that. And I go, that's all it takes for someone to come start surveillancing me and following me around. Remember that time I said I told one of my boys I dropped off a SAG to, and he told me someone was following me. That was them. That was them that week surveillancing me, right? So I told my lawyer, that's all it takes. Someone could just say that one, like, oh yeah, that guy right there, he put a gun out on me. And then they're going to just go ready to do what if that dude had nothing to do with it. But anyways, it wasn't working in my favor. Like I said, the gang unit knew me. The gang unit been trying to get me. They got me. So I was like, okay. So I was finding a case, and she's like, just stay in the rehab, finish the program. We're trying to get you out after this. We'll try to get you out, go to your home. Now, a real quick disclaimer. In the feds, they don't just, like I said, you have to have property to get bailed out. I was on pre-trial. That means I had I had a dude that watched, that I had to get drug tested, that I watched, that I had to call, I had to check in on this cat. Now, what was gonna happen is with this, after the rehab, they weren't just gonna release me to find my case. They were gonna put me on an ankle monitor, and they're gonna have to release me to somebody. In other words, the person they're gonna have to release me to, they had like I was their sole responsibility. If I ran, she'd get in trouble. If I did something wrong, she would get in trouble because she's vouching for me. And it was my girlfriend. She's like, yeah. So anyways, I ended up doing those. I did 90 days. Now the 90 days. Remember, I used to smoke a lot of weed, right? That's all I did. Let's be honest. Look, that's all I did. I would just sit on my couch, smoke hella weed, sell drugs, go out in the neighborhood on the block, and then just post up, create ruckus, come back, smoke all day. That's what I used to do. So so that's all I did all day. Now watch. I was in the 90 days, right? I get tested. I was a Fed guy, so I got tested every week. I was dirty for 87 days. 87 days I was dirty. it took 87 days to there'd be no trace of marijuana in my system. But I kept telling my counselor, I was like, dude, I'm not smoking because I'd be 30 the next week. He's like, nah, it's all right. When we send it to the labs, your levels are going low, so we know you're not using. Because I tried to tell him, dude, I don't know no one in Fresno. I haven't left this place. I wasn't allowed to leave. I'm also, people got family visits on the weekends. The feds, we don't get that. We don't get none of that. Your family can come visit you, but you can't leave for a day or for a couple hours and come back. We don't get that privilege because, you know, we're basically still in jail. So I was telling my counselor, like, man, I don't know nobody here. He's like, no, I know. But look, there's one thing, the one cool ass thing I learned about this rehab, because mind you, I don't have a drug problem, so I'm over here hearing about opiates, about heroin, about crystal meth, coke, drugs, right? Pills. People were on drugs, right? Now, I can vibe with anybody. I don't care what walk of life you are. I don't care. I'm multicultural. I don't care if you're a millionaire to a broke bum. You can always put me in a situation on to always know how to conduct myself because I'm just a human being with a lot of love. At this time, I was growing to be that person. So, but I was always a businessman first. But I started growing a heart. I started understanding things better, right? So you could put me with anybody, dude. I don't judge nobody. I don't care what you do. We all have some kind of problem. Sometimes not even drugs. It could be your mental mind state what you're going through. But anyways, look. So what was cool about this? See, because I did learn. I always learn things about myself. So my counselor's like, you know what? We figured it out. And I go, yeah. He goes, you were addicted to the street life. That's why it was hard for you to get out. And I told him, damn, man, that is something I really learned because look, let me tell you something. Like I loved it. I know it sounds hella weird, but I loved it. I loved getting up in the morning, getting all my stuff ready to go hit the block to make that. I loved it. That's something I never thought I would never not do that. I was one of those young 20-some-year-old kids think I'm gonna do this forever, not knowing the real consequences in life, right? But we figured that out, me and my counselor, right? He was a good counselor. We figured it out, and then that made me think, like, you know what? That's why it was so hard to let go. You know what I mean? That's all I knew. That's all that I lived by. That's all. I'm a loyal person. I'm a loyal person even to my family, even my jiu-jitsu family now. I'm loyal. I'm one loyal ass dude. What you can say about Hugo is that he's always good, positive energy, and he's loyal, and that's a fact. That's just the way that I am. Now we figured that out in that rehab that I was used to the street life. Now that to me was the real battle, was having to learn how to let go of that life. And like I said, the transformation from having big large amount of money to doing what I do to becoming a working man, it was so difficult for me, really hard. But anyways, that's the 90 days came. At the time, my girl seen me every weekend. She showed me love, brought the kids down there, so she made it easier for me. So that was a big blessing. That's what I had motivating me. That and my brother, my best friend, they want the best for me. So that was my motivation. That was my what is it called? My support team. That was the people that I was fighting my life to stay out here for them. So anyways, 90 days, I did good. I wasn't showing. I never showed a dirty test. I went above and beyond. I think I got like 8 awards and stuff like that. I got pictures of all this stuff. Anyways, they finally released me to the care of my girl. Now she was solely responsible for me. Now here is what you gotta understand is that this next part, because there'll be a part 3, the outcome of this whole situation in the next video. But anyway, with that being said, I just want to tell you guys this, man. Look, love each other. We never know what someone else is going through. I don't care if they're always smiling. We'll never know mentally what they're going through. It's always cool to just walk up to someone that you know and be like, man, are you all right? Whether they look all right or not. Hey, you know, if you're not all right, I got you, man. I'm here for you. You can always call me and reach out and talk to somebody. You can always reach out for me. Just letting you know that alone could make someone's day better, and why not make someone's day better? If I walk around nowadays just wanting to be showing everybody love, positive, you know, there's so much hate in this cold world. Don't be that guy. Don't be a DK. And you might be like, what the hell is a DK? Don't be a dream killer. You can do anything you want in life. This is your life. Always reinvent yourself if you want to. You can reinvent yourself every day, but don't ever become a DK. Don't be a dream killer. Be an uplifter. Make sure someone has a good day because of you. If we all did that, life would be grand. But anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna catch you guys out next week with the outcome of this, and that's when jiu-jitsu started. So with that being said, good night. Salute to all y'all. Mac Drizzle.